But because the only best anti-missile system you can have is your tanks at the airport of the enemy, and that's the formula to have the peace in Ukraine.
After a long day of talks involving 50 nations, Germany has failed to commit to a plan to send Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. Kyiv says they would be a game changer for their forces. The tanks were designed specifically to compete with the Russian T-90 model that's being used by them in the invasion. Germany has long had a policy of not sending arms to conflict zones, but they have revised that since the invasion. Denys Ganzha is a Ukrainian Youth Delegate to the United Nations who lives in Kyiv. Denys, good morning.
Good morning to you.
And I think we should start just by finding out how things are for you in Kyiv today and over the last few days. What is it like there just now?
We have been living with the big electricity cutoffs already for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. And that's why I'm not joining you with the video, because it's really hard to find a place where you can sometimes charge your phone, that you can have the light. You can't predict where you can be this morning or this afternoon because you're just searching for places with electricity. So sorry for that.
No, not at all, of course. And that is having a real impact on you. I noted a tweet from you this week where you were making light of the fact you were kind of using your cat sitting on your knee to try to keep warm.
It's actually my friend's cat,
Oh,
but
right, okay.
sometimes it looks like this because you know, heating is of course not the best, but the nature is on our side. It's plus 10 Celsius right now in Kyiv.
Mm.
The nature is really, I think, joining the coalition of the of the countries who are supporting Ukraine.
Yeah. And speaking of countries supporting Ukraine, then, what do you make of this, I suppose, hesitation from Germany to send the Leopard 2 tanks into the war?
You know, we already, laughing a lot because of the name of the tanks. That it's leopards, and probably Germans are not the best animal activists, so they're not freeing the leopards. Of course, we are frustrated with this decision because it was expected, because everyone is waiting for the green light from the US and from Germany to give their tanks, because UK has already done this.
Mm.
And the coming months, they will be so important because, of course, Russia will be launching new attacks. Of course, they will be hard. Of course, Russia will be sending rockets to Ukraine, and you will see for sure more tragedies like this one which happened in Dnipro last week, where more than 46 people were killed. But because the only best anti-missile system you can have is your tanks at the airport of the enemy, and that's the formula to have the peace in Ukraine.
Does it feel discouraging, I suppose, to have delays like this, to even see the talks that were taking place in Germany yesterday and consider that the support isn't sort of immediate?
You know, we are encouraged by all the support the West is giving. If you're reading the news, you have seen that some interesting details of the last year weapon transfers have been released. That Bulgaria was sending lots of things without even it was secret operations, and we don't know how many things like that happened for the last year. But of course, we want the world to understand that this is not that we want to use these tanks to have the better army. We want to make sure that we win Russia and we free our territories and make Europe a peaceful continent one more time.
Yeah. What are you doing day by day, Dennis? I suppose I'm always intrigued about how normal, in inverted commas, life can be for you at the moment.
Of course, we try to work every day. We try to find the places to work. People are helping each other. If you go to Facebook, you can find, oh, guys, I have the light. You can join me at my office. Or friends are writing to each other, oh, I have water and light. You can come to me to have a shower. So it's kind of already normal for us that we live without light, but we live under rocket attacks. It's already the new normality for us. But of course, we are tired at some point. We are so very tired, believe us.
Mm. Have you been in Kiev since the war broke out, and well, almost a year ago?
Yeah, I met the war in Kharkiv, which
Yeah.
is the eastern part of the country, but I moved to Kiev and have been there for all the time.
Yeah. is it, I suppose, is it exhausting being in Ukraine? Do you ever consider leaving Ukraine?
You know, of course not, because first of all, men of the fighting age are not allowed to leave the country, only on some special occasions. I even spent the month in the United States on diplomatic duty, but it's still, you want to be here. And lots of people are coming back right now because they want to be here to join the fight, to join the volunteer forces. You just can't leave your country in such a hard moment.
Yeah. It's really amazing. Denys, it's good to speak to you. Thank you very much. Thanks for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks and all the best. That is Denys Ganzha, Ukrainian Youth Delegate to the United Nations, joining us from Kyiv this morning. Once again, what are we, 11 months into this war? The message of resilience and determination from Denys there. And also some interesting reflections, I think, on, as I say, that hesitation from Germany about sending tanks in, which we've been discussing on the programme over the course of this weekend, is not without understandable reason from Germany, you know, in terms of intervening in wars, etc., and sort of committing in that way. But interesting thoughts from Denys, nonetheless.
Yeah, and the fact that he says, we're tired of this, and the fact, as he reminds us that men of fighting age are not allowed to leave the country, and there are many families scattered around Europe, separated, mothers and children living in different countries so they can stay safe while the husbands, brothers, sons stay and fight. And there's just so much pain and so much desperation, and they're tired.
Yeah, they're just
completely
done.
understand
Yeah,
it.
completely.